Welcome into this Five Clubs conversation. I'm Gary Williams. There are a lot of guys that are right around 30 that you can look at and go, yep, Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth and Xander Schauffele and Daniel Berger, Patrick Rogers, Taylor Moore. Taylor is somebody I saw when he was 16 years old. And I said to myself, you know what? This guy looks like a tour player. Well, he is now, and he's won on the PGA Tour. His journey, the obstacles, the progress, the success, everybody's ride is different. We're going to find out a lot more about Taylor Moore coming up right now.
In this split second, your hands make all the difference. It was time for a grip to help them own the moment. Introducing Reverse Taper, technology to stabilize both hands for a more square putter face at impact. The most important split second in golf. Reverse Taper, only from Golf Pride. Respect the grip.
And with that, here he is, Taylor Moore. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Well, you look a little conflicted because you have John Calipari, but you also have Zeke back with the Cowboys. Now, you're a big sports fan, so let's try to digest all this. As an Arkansas Razorback, the whole Cal thing, when that starts, like the rumors, where's your head?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was very excited to get Coach Cal once I, realized that Coach Musman was leaving and going to USC. And then I quickly realized, I think just as Coach Cal, that we didn't have a roster. So it was like we have 0 players at the moment. And obviously a big-time coach coming in, so I knew he would figure it out. But definitely excited to have Coach Cal, on the hill there in Fayetteville.
The reason I asked you that is, one, because I know you're a huge sports fan and you love Arkansas, having gone there. But for someone like yourself, when I have the chance to talk to people who are doing this pursuit of playing golf professionally, balance is an interesting word, and trying to leave jobs behind. I don't care what you do; it's hard to leave work at
Sure.
times. Has your journey to this now at the age of 30, have you found what you think is balance in your life?
For sure. Yeah, it's been obviously a recipe of trial and error, right, to try to have that on-course, off-course balance. And, it's taken a few years to get there, but I definitely, sports is a big part of it. It's my getaway from golf, which, it's still sports, but, I enjoy all kinds of, sports, grew up playing a ton of baseball, and, it's just fun for me to see other athletes compete at the highest level as well.
I saw met you when you were a teenager at the Junior
right.
Invitational
That's
at
right.
Sage Valley.
2011 Sage Valley.
Exactly. And first of all, I mentioned your age. You're part of, your contemporaries. It's a hell of a group. You've been butting heads with guys like Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth and Xander Schauffele and Wyndham Clark and Daniel Berger, and I can go on.
Yeah, for sure.
But I remember thinking to myself, after seeing you and almost all those other guys, I could add Matthew Neesmith, Robbie Shelton, all these guys that were the best of the best. And I left there honestly saying, that kid, you. Because one, you look like a tour player when you were 16, like your clothes were ironed. You presented yourself in a way like you knew what you wanted to do.
You need to tell my mom that. She'd be very happy to hear that.
When did you know, one, that you wanted to do it, and then when did you know that you thought you could do it?
I fully made up, my mind. I wanted to pursue golf at the highest level, I think, after my freshman year of high school, because I was still kind of teetering with the idea of playing baseball at the collegiate level, and that was my first love. And so I think after my freshman year of high school, when I fully committed to golf, that's where all my attention was. And then I would say maybe a little bit later, I realized, playing events like that against, competition like that with a bunch of great players in that 2011 high school class, and my class as well in 2012, that I saw some signs that I could do it at the professional level, and really just wanted to keep growing and learning as I got into college about myself and my game.
Taylor, I think that the talent is primarily innate. I think that you have talent, and then you refine that talent into skill. What came first for you, the skill or the competitiveness? Were you a hyper-competitive little kid?
Absolutely.
You were?
Hyper-competitive.
Like, give me an example of things that you got pissed off about if you did not succeed
we played a lot of ping pong growing up. Hated losing in that with buddies and friends. Pickup basketball was a big part of my childhood, whether it was in, the driveway or, after basketball practice, we would roll out the ball and play more. So, I was hyper-competitive. I had a great friend group, where I grew up there in Edmond. We kind of all did everything together, and, sports-wise, super competitive. So I think it was built into me, from a young age, but also even exuded, through my friend group in high school, and just all the things we did there.
The friend group, I love my friends who were my best friends as a kid. And there were, I could give you the list, and specifically the ones who were just, as good as anybody at most everything. Was there somebody, you're kind of smiling.
Yeah.
Was there who was it? What's his name?
Jordan Thomas. Yeah. He was kind of the one that, he did a little bit of everything. Actually, besides golf, he was a terrible golfer, but he did everything else at such a high level, and we pushed each other, and he's one of my best friends too. And, Jordan Thomas was kind of my guy.
You mentioned your class of 2012, and then the 2011 class. I mentioned some of those guys. Did you start measuring yourself against some of these guys, and if you did, who?
I think that 2011 class, just being a year younger, I kind of put a chip on my shoulder.
You did.
Right? Of like, you hear about obviously Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth and Daniel Berger and Patrick Rogers, and once I started getting myself into tournaments where I was playing against them, it's like, obviously they're great, and they're going to do great things in this game and at the next level in college, but I want to go show them who Taylor Moore is too. So I kind of put a chip on my shoulder a little bit and tried to, mix it up with them as best as I could at the time, and I thought it was great learning experience for me. Did you,
and maybe you still do this, as far as measuring yourself, there's a line that I'm a big believer in, that comparison is the thief of joy. That it's one thing to understand who your competition is. It's another thing to get wrapped up in looking at where they might be in their progress. Like, to me, yeah, you're running a race, but it's your race.
Sure.
And the point is to just keep running.
Sure.
And wherever you are at a certain mile marker, did you ever fall prey to comparing yourself to others that it caused frustration?
I think, yeah, a little bit. I think I was guilty of that when I was on Korn Ferry, because I had some, friends and buddies and guys I grew up playing with that were already on tour, and I was on Korn Ferry for 4 seasons and 5 years, and I think it was a pivotal moment for me just to really embrace where my feet were, and I'm on the Korn Ferry, I'm here right now, I need to be fully present here in order to take that next step on the PGA Tour. So yeah, there's been a few times throughout my career where I definitely have maybe fell victim to that.
The process of transitioning from college to professional golf, I've always said this, like the PGA Tour and what you now do because of where you've ascended to, it's a TV show. Professional golf is Korn Ferry Tour.
Yeah.
It's playing golf in Canada. It's PGA Tour Americas.
Right.
I mean that's pro golf. That is, you know what? I'm going to go through this drive-through. I'm trying not going to eat like shit tonight, but I probably am anyway. And hopefully I can get my dry cleaning done, and it's not being done for me, and I don't have free daycare, and there's no tricked out courtesy car. That you're now part of a television show, which is the PGA Tour. Did you ever find yourself going, God, really? I mean, this is what it's going to be?
A little bit, yes, but also at the same time, I was just so excited to be playing professional golf, right? So I was fully into like, this is my journey to get to PGA Tour, and I'm just gonna, embrace it. I really my journey is a little different because I've never played a mini tour event. So I went from national championship in Oregon my senior year straight to PGA Tour Canada. Finished third on that money list. Went to the Corn Ferry Tour that next January. So I never had like the Q School mini tour, side of professional golf, which a lot of people as a part of their journey to the PGA Tour, do. So I never like Canada, Corn Ferry. I spent a decent amount of time on Corn Ferry, but ultimately worked my way on tour.
The Canada experience, did you like it?
I did. Yeah, it was my first test of professional golf, and I think I really liked it because I finished second my first event. So I got off to a good start there, and it really taught me. It was my first, trial of traveling on my own, playing 4 rounds of golf, having a cut. Like, there's some amateur events that had a cut, Western Am and USM and things like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Had to learn how to be a pro really fast and in a different foreign country as well. So it was. Did you, if I asked you to name some of the places, some of the golf courses that you played, could you name them? Could name a couple more of the towns. Like, I loved Kelowna, British Columbia. I thought it was the coolest town, I visited while I was there.
Were the golf courses any good?
There was some good ones, yeah.
There were.
I won in Thunder Bay. Obviously biased, but I thought that was a really good golf course. And, a lot of places were like maybe older country clubs in the town, not really big ballparks, but there was a few, like Thunder Bay had some, longer par 4s and challenging par 5s, and had appreciation for that place for sure. But maybe not specific golf courses, but.
So if I said to you as a baseball player that you were, because I find it interesting when guys who are great college players, where they enter professional baseball. And in the SEC where you played golf, similarly with baseball, some of these guys may play some rookie ball, but, in knowing something about that system in terms of the highest talent entry point, what was Canada? Like, if I said to you the talent level there, it was average, what was it?
I would say maybe similar to baseball would be like AA or, high A ball would be kind of.
High A ball.
Yeah, and then I would say, AAA is kind of the Corn Ferry level, and then obviously PGA Tour and MLB lineups. So, yeah, I thought the competition, it was good. And I traveled, Matt Neesmith's a great friend of mine, and he played at South Carolina at the same time I was at Arkansas, and we went straight to Canada together and roomed a little bit. And then Taylor Gooch, who played on tour for a few years and is an Oklahoma boy, he was out there the same time I was. So, like, we had some good
guys who could absolutely play.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the guy that year, Dan McCarthy, won 4 times in 11 events that I was out there. And I thought he was the greatest player in the world.
Well,
like, why are there not people talking about this guy?
No, see, here's the thing, Taylor, is that I find this stuff interesting, that you see people, and you've seen elite talent since you were 10 years old. Was he the guy that you looked at? I'm talking talent. Winning is great, and it's a skill. It's the most important skill. Then you went, this guy's going to make it. Did you think he would make it?
Dan McCarthy?
Yeah.
Talent-wise, probably not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there someone you saw there that you're surprised to today that they haven't made it? Anybody that your memory, you go, that guy was good.
More my age, like Max Rutliff was I thought talent off the charts, and had a really good college career at Arizona State. He was my age. But like Aaron Wise finished 5th in that points list, and like
wow,
I just played with him, the national championship in Oregon at Eugene Country Club, and he was a duck, and like
and he's won on tour.
Yeah, and he was a great player, super talented. I was like, this dude's the next like Tiger of our class coming out.
Right,
I just thought the world of him at the time. So
how about accommodations in Canada? Like, where were you staying? What are we talking about here?
Host hotels. Similar, a lot of
like Fairfield Inns.
Yeah, entry level Marriott's, right? Spring Hill Suite, Fairfield. Like, sometimes they would have like their downtown kind of convention center where we'd stay, and we'd get shuttled out to the course.
You don't have
and
any
of that
nightmare
nature.
story of any place that you stayed when you were playing in Canada? Like one place you went, this is horrifying.
Not really nightmare accommodations. Yeah, I thought everything was pretty, smooth sailing up there. I'm trying to think, like, weather a little dicey sometimes, but also it's their great time of year in the middle of the summer, basically June, July, kind of August. So, no nightmare accommodations. No, we found our like 4 to 5 spots to kind of eat in each city too, right? They have kind of like the Keg, Cactus Club, kind of things like that. So there's like Chili's and Outback, I guess, comparison here for us.
Chili's and Outback in every city.
Every Corn Ferry stop, I can promise you, because we found it.
So you mentioned Matthew Neesmith. How important did you think it was to have a buddy, someone that you could count on? Conversation. I just, look, it's a great pursuit. It's, you're early, you're ambitious, you're enthusiastic, but to have somebody that you could count on, to have a meal with,
sure.
How valuable was that?
Just have some comfort too, right?
Yeah.
Matt and I, like I said, go way back till 15, 16 years old, and we're traveling on the junior circuit, and then, rooming together in amateur events in the summer when we're off from school. And yeah, I think just to have that comfort level and, playing practice rounds together, trying to figure out the golf course together. Try to take a little bit of that, team aspect we had in college and implement it a little bit into professional golf, obviously knowing Thursday comes around, we want to beat each other, but at the same time, having prep and dinner and things like that was a nice start.
When you got to the PGA Tour, was there anything that did surprise you?
Golf course wise, I thought, watching every kind of place on TV over the years, nothing really golf course wise surprised me, except maybe a few of the majors in Augusta, but like just the overall infrastructure on what goes into a tour event. Like
it's extraordinary.
It is insane. Like outside the ropes, like obviously on TV and on camera, you're seeing the golf, right? And then when you're actually inside the ropes playing golf, and like just the busyness of what's going outside, it maybe a little bit of an adjustment, but like there's golf carts everywhere. It's a full on production. There's tents and everything. I thought that was like a little bit just shocking when I first got into my
you're
first
in a
couple tour
bubble.
events.
You drive into these facilities in a courtesy car. You pull up to essentially the locker room with a valet. You get out. There's an insulation that players feel to the experience. And the truth is, I don't think there are a lot of guys who play for a living. They may have gone to a tournament when they were like, I don't know, a teenager, but you probably haven't attended an event as a fan. When was the last time you went to a golf tournament as a fan?
Like to the magnitude of what you're talking about. In college, we got a Ryder Cup experience. We played Olympia Field in college, and we got to go to the Ryder Cup, which was really, fun and unique.
So in 2012?
Yeah, 2012, Medina.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah, I was there.
What day were you there?
We were there we got to go the first day because we played before. So we got to go see the first round.
Cool. Okay, I
think it was the day before Rory showed up, late. Or was that singles that Rory?
That was singles.
Yeah.
That
day
was
or two
singles.
before.
I was walking with him. He and McDowell played. They were paired together on Friday morning, day one, playing Snedeker and Jim Furyk. And Medina, as you know, Medina's a huge piece of land.
Yeah.
And 3 golf courses and just it's massive to begin with. The enormity of the Ryder Cup, I don't think people understand. Like, just to, as a fan, if you do it as a common fan, so to speak, what you see before you see a golf shot is a city, a city that has been built. What about that particular day stands out beyond the fact that it was massive?
Yeah, just
atmosphere.
Yeah, it was. I mean, coming from a baseball sports background, I'm like, I'm at a game. Like, I mean,
you're at a game.
Yeah, like I was at a game. The crowd's going nuts. USA this, Europe that. Like, it was unlike any golf tournament I really had been to before. So I thought the atmosphere, the crowd, the player crowd interaction, I thought was unique because you don't really see that in any other golf tournament. So I thought that was definitely unique. And then anytime I could see Tiger in person was pretty special.
You had seen him before in person, right?
Yeah, first time was 07 PGA Championship in Tulsa. I grew up about an hour from there, and just remember,
it was sweltering.
Oh my gosh, fans are dropping left and right. Players are like, trying to hydrate. It was
now.
Very
were you
hot
there
that
the
week.
day that he lipped out for 62?
I was. That was my first real memory of obviously watching him live, but that was really my first golf tournament I got to go to as well. So that was a very special moment, for me and my dad to be able to watch that. He had kind of been going, my dad had been going throughout the week to practice rounds and hosting, some clients and stuff. And then I got to go Friday, and when he lipped out, I was, that was insane.
Yeah. I believe that your generation is the greatest generation in terms of the one that he spawned. And it's not that guys who are younger than you were not inspired by him, but these younger guys didn't see him at height of his powers, like doing things. It's not just winning. It was like his impact on sports and culture.
Oh, absolutely.
So, at that time in 2007, okay, so 17 years ago, you were a 13-year-old kid.
Yep.
I mean, I can remember when I was 13, it was Reggie Jackson. I mean, it was Earl Campbell. It was guys that I'm like, oh my God, these are deities. You had to feel that way about Tiger.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if it's not for Tiger, I'm probably playing baseball or
Really?
trying to play baseball at the collegiate level, and then go from there. I mean, to your point of sparking the next generation, spawning the generation of golfers, I just think a lot of athletes at the junior sports level, found golf really, really cool at that time. So maybe where they're playing other sports, baseball, basketball, whatever, they're like, man, if I can do what Tiger's doing, I'm going to go try golf, especially where I grew up. It was a big deal.
Yeah. So you get to the PGA Tour. Adversity it comes in all forms. It could be personal issues. It can be physical. And you dealt with something that had to be scary as hell, because I've had a few things happen in my life that I didn't know what was going on physically. And it's one thing to fall and know that you've broken your wrist. It's another thing to be dealing with like abject pain and not know what the hell is going on.
Right.
The collapsed lung. Take me through like before you knew what it was. Like
Sure.
what happened?
Well, we had a month off of our Corn Ferry season in the early spring, and so I was living in Dallas at the time, and we shot out to Scottsdale to get some practice in and chase some good weather. And so, I was out in Scottsdale hanging out, practicing for a few days with Kevin Doherty and Brock McKenzie and a few guys. And the night before I was supposed to fly home, up all night, food poisoning symptoms, just like kind of going through it. And that next morning, I'm still not feeling great. So I moved my flight back a couple hours, and I'm like still fighting a little bit of nausea. And I'm just like trying to find the closest ER because I want to get home. So I'm just going to go get some nausea medicine and, see what they have to say, and hopefully get on a plane this afternoon and go home. And ended up being in that hospital for 3 days with a tube inside of my chest and lung deflated. And
so
it was pretty...
Was your breathing impaired? Were you struggling to breathe?
That was the oddest part about it. I didn't have any sharp chest pain. I didn't have any shortness of breath. So I had no symptoms of a collapsed lung. So how did they
find out? What, did they just take a picture of your chest? Or?
Well, so I'm sitting there in the hospital, and it came up in one of the tests that they were doing, just their overall scan, and they were like, we think we want to image CT scan your chest and abdomen area. And I was like, I really think I'm just sore from throwing up all night. I think that's what led to it, is I complained of a little bit of abdomen, but I'd been up all night, obviously, throwing up. And so they ran the CT scan, and I'll never forget the nurse around in the corner, scan in hand. He's like, you're going to need to make a couple phone calls. You're going to be in here for a few days. And I was like, excuse me. So I'm not getting on a plane tonight. He's like, no shot. He's like, you need to be very, very thankful that you didn't get on that plane, because it wouldn't have been good, because your lung is 50% collapsed right now.
Wow.
So that was, crazy. I'm getting kind of chills telling it again.
Yeah. Does hearing that, because you didn't get on the plane, were you relieved because you knew what it was, and also that you didn't get on the plane? So it didn't scare you more, did it?
No. And they, being in that profession, I guess they kind of see everything, right? So they were very calm and had some normalcy.
It's almost unnerving how calm they are.
They're like, this happens from time to time. Males 18 to 30, low body fat, like this and that, cone-shaped lungs versus square.
Really?
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Lung shape and low percentage of body fat. I'm like, at the time, I'm like, dang, I knew I should have that cheeseburger. I need to get a little bit of weight on me. But so mom and dad flew out to Scottsdale there, spent a couple days, ran some more tests, and there's a couple, that's not even the entirety of the story, right? So I drive back from Phoenix to Dallas with my parents because I can't fly.
Yep.
And do some follow-up tests 3 or 4 days later, which the doctors in Phoenix recommended. So I go in for a follow-up appointment, and my lung had collapsed again.
Wow.
So straight from that doctor's appointment, straight to the ER.
Were you feeling anything physically?
No, that was the oddest thing. I had no
that's scary.
Yeah, it was the odd, holy crap, kind of what's going on. And so I ended up having surgery about 2 days later to permanently fix the issue, and have had no issues since. And since then, we think it might be somewhat genetic. My brother, who's 4.5 years younger than me, he's at dinner with my parents about 6 months after my incident in Arizona, and he's complaining shortness of breath. And of course my mom and dad are like, oh, we've seen this before. His lung collapsed 6 months basically the day after mine. So we're we chalked it up to some sort of genetic that maybe we didn't know, but that was a really absurd scene time. So.
That's crazy. So did your brother have the same procedure that you did?
So his lung inflated back up with the initial tube and stuck to the lining of the lung, and he didn't have to have surgery.
Okay.
Mine just wouldn't stick to the lining, and so obviously with my profession and traveling a bunch, that was kind of the surgeon comes in and he's like, "What are your thoughts on your career?" I'm like, "Well, I'm working my way to the PGA Tour. What do you mean?" He's like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Because if you're gonna keep traveling, you need surgery now." And it was kind of that life decision. He's like, if you were somebody that, 9 to 5, didn't travel much, you probably wouldn't have to have this procedure. But if you really want to get to the PGA Tour and travel and play, you need this done in the next 48 hours. It's
wow.
Okay. Guess this is what I'm going to do.
So I've got to ask about this drive with your parents from Phoenix to Dallas.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Okay, how many hours is that? That's a long drive.
15-ish.
Okay, so you're an adult, and you are now back in a car with your parents. Did you ever do any long road trips as a kid with your family?
Yeah, we did a few.
You did?
Between baseball and
did
golf.
Did you break up the 15-hour drive, or did you go straight through?
We drove. Yeah, we left the hospital in the afternoon. I believe we stayed in El Paso.
Okay.
For a night.
What was okay? So were you in the back seat and your parents were?
Yeah,
in
it was
oh my gosh, you're 10 years old
yeah,
again.
Exactly, 100%. My dad's got classic rock going. My mom's sleeping, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. So it was, it was definitely a throwback at that time.
Well, it's funny that you say classic rock. You like Led Zeppelin?
Oh yeah.
Okay, you like Blue Oyster Cult?
Yeah.
Okay, you were born at the wrong time.
I was in the
man.
wrong era. My first concert was Journey, Heart, and Cheap
Heart?
Trick. Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
Is that because of your dad?
Oh yeah, yeah. Big classic rock fans, and yeah.
How old is your dad?
59.
Okay. Oh, he's right in the wheelhouse,
right there, yeah.
man.
Born in 65, grew up
my
late
gosh.
70s, early 80s.
Oh yes.
That was huge. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. The voice in your head, you have to find your own voice. But you also have to find somebody that you respond to. And that's where I want to get to Josh Gregory here. Because, look, there are a lot of people out there peddling their wares that I can be your guy. You look up and down the range and it's like, my God, there are a lot of guys out here.
Right.
Physios and mental coaches and instructors. In the era of the instructor, instructors are stars now. People know who they are.
Sure.
They have their own podcasts. They have their own television shows. Why was Josh the right guy at the right time?
For me, it was just finding a coach, because that's what I responded the best to. So my dad, baseball, coach growing up, high school, college level, and so I've always responded well to more coaching. And Josh came into my life and my career at a great time, and really from day one preached this mindset of we're just going to get better today, and then we're going to come back tomorrow, we're going to get better tomorrow. And he's like, I know you're not happy with where you're at right now, and I know there's certain parts of your game you want to get better at, but he's like, I promise this is going to work. He goes, I'm a coach at heart, I'm going to be with you, from start to finish. And I said, all right, let's do it. So it's been just over 4, maybe 5 years now. Yeah.
You had an interlude with Sean Foley. Sean is a world-class instructor and
absolutely
wildly interesting person to boot. Why did you go to Sean in the first place?
I was seeking just some help in my golf swing from the technical side. I had, I wanted another opinion about what I was doing, and a lot of it too was just learning. That was after my fall season, my rookie year. So a lot of it was learning, how these golf courses reacted from a firmness standpoint. And I was really like craving some height in my long irons.
Okay, did you see something on a golf course, maybe in the state of California, that affected you?
Yeah, Palm Springs, final round my rookie year, playing with Justin Rose, and we were hitting similar distances coming into some of these greens, and he's hitting, and his ball stopping 10 to 15 feet, and I'm 15 yards long chipping, and I'm like, okay, what is going on? In reflecting, I'm like, not enough height, not enough spin for firm places. And so, yeah. And at the time, it kind of lined up in my head, and, with conversations with, as well, people on my team, like, Sean is very close to my Cairo and PT, Craig Davies. And, I assumed at the time, like, it was just going to be this smooth sailing relationship because there was so much alignment with, how my body moved, how I swung, the communication with Sean and Craig. And, unfortunately, it just didn't work out. But I think there was a lot of good intention. And like you said, Sean's a great person, great teacher, has a lot of brilliant, ideas and stories.
Yes, he does.
But
he has ideas.
Yeah, he definitely does. But, yeah. And, I was just trying to get better. I was trying to get better. I was trying to learn. I was trying to, add some things to my arsenal that I thought could, help me contend and win more out here. And, it was great learning experience for me.
Taylor, there was a story that Steve Elkington shared with me early in Tiger's career. He was paired with him at the old Buick, which was in the state of Michigan at Warwick Hills. And, anything Tiger did, the reaction from the crowd was, that's the greatest thing we've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And so he was telling me that they were, I can't remember the hole, but it was a front pin with a 2-tier green. And Tiger was about 12 yards behind Steve, and he hits this, full out wedge, and sucks it back like 30 feet. Mm-hmm. And people go crazy. And he hit it high.
Yeah.
And so here's Elkington, who flights a little short iron low, and it takes 2 skips and stops. And there's no reaction. And they get up there, and Elkington's 6 feet and Tiger's 30. And Tiger didn't say anything, mm-hmm. but Elkington sensed that his body language was, what the hell was that? Like, I don't have that. And he said 6 months later, he was paired with them, and he hit that shot. He hit the shot that Elkington hit. And he looked at Steve and he said, I got that shot now.
That's so cool.
Okay? That is the maturation. That is the evolution
Absolutely.
Of players. It's not that you're getting wrapped up in what others are doing. It's essential to be observant, mm-hmm. and to see what you might not have that you think is going to be required in your arsenal. So you went down that road with mm-hmm. Sean, and it didn't work. But what were maybe the byproduct from a constructive, positive standpoint of doing that? What was the benefit of doing that?
Again, I think I just was, learning about myself and how I wanted to attack the PGA Tour, and, being a student of the game and being a competitor, you can have both. Like you were saying, I can be observant and learn while I'm playing, with somebody or prepping during the course of the week, but also be this competitor that I am. And so, I think it's a little bit of trial and error when you're first on tour. Is a little bit of like, I played with JT in Phoenix for 36 holes on the weekend, and I was pretty enamored by how he hit his wedges. And I'm like, this pacing is unreal, spin is awesome, flight's great. And then, I'm kind of a little bit trying to do that at Players a few weeks later, and I'm like chunking wedges, and I'm like, hey, that's not me, right?
Yeah.
Like, who am I, and like, how do I operate, and what do I do? So I think it was just a great, learning experience, and really understanding that like my game and what I do is not only good enough, but I don't have to constantly try to do what these other great players are doing while actively, being on the PGA Tour and playing against them.
You said about Josh, you said coach. That to me is a broader, more impactful definition of somebody in your life. I think instructors, when I think of instruction, I think technicalities and mechanics. When I think of coach, I think that there's messaging there's motivation. There are things that he's doing with you that go beyond the cleaning up of things that might have gotten sloppy. What does he say to you? Like, how does he know to get you to respond in positive, good ways? Are there things that he knows about you that he can say to you that is the kick in the ass that you need when you need it?
I think it's a combo of that, but I also think he's just like, he's a super positive person Thursday through Sunday. He's super like loving. You know, it doesn't matter whether I shoot 80 or 65, he's going to come and give me a hug and be like, we're going to get better tomorrow. So I just love the consistency and the positivity in the relationship, which is, you know, I think helped me get to the level that I'm at right now. But yeah, and I think, you know, anytime you have a new student, you're trying to learn how they tick, right? And so we went from a lot of maybe drills and like, you know, physical technique structure to competition. So instead of doing an hour of like positions in the golf swing, we do 15 minutes and then like, let's go hit shots, let's compete, let's do wedge distance, let's do this and that. And so I love that aspect. And then I obviously saw results within that, and it's been a lot of fun.
Sarah Taylor, this is another person who
Sure.
is part of your team, the people who put you in the best place to be successful. I'm particularly fascinated by these people because, just so you know, like I had the dexterity to do virtually anything when I was little, and I loved to do everything. But then I hit my ceiling at a very young age. But what I found, Taylor, is that I was blown away by elite performance in all sports. That's why I wanted to cover sports. But it's having the mind to feel like things are slow, being present, and staying in moments. That is where someone like Sarah Taylor comes in, a mental coach. How did you get connected with her?
Yeah, Sarah and I connected over social media, and it was during our 2-1 season on Korn Ferry after our first part of it. Had some downtime before we got, you know, going that next January in Bahamas, and I was frustrated. I was at a place where I just came off lung surgery. I felt like I was healthy enough after that to play, you know, good, and I just wasn't. I was 70th something on this points list with, you know, our second half of that 2-1 season to go, and tried to just figure out what was missing. And, you know, for me, I ultimately realized it was kind of that mental performance, sports psych, and like to your point of, you know, just observing other athletes at the highest level. You know, how's Kobe operating? How's Tom Brady operating? What are these guys doing at the highest level? And am I missing something? And, you know, we got connected ultimately and started to go to work. And it's been an awesome process. She's been a huge, you know, key into what I do, and been, you know, just a great person for me to have in my life on and off the golf course.
To trust someone to share like the most important things that are going on in your head about what is your passion and your pursuit, which is to play professional golf. How long did it take for you to trust her?
It didn't take a long time at all. I mean, I'd say after our first couple of sessions of conversations, I had full trust in her and her ability to, you know, help me. And it was funny because, you know, I'm like, how can I get in a flow state? How can I do this? How, you know, what drills can I do to get better? And she's like, read this book and start meditating. And I had never I'm like, excuse me? Like, is there not a putting drill I can do? Is there not, you know, do I need to hit 50 drivers instead of 25? Like, in order to get better? Because that was my whole, like, kind of thought process behind getting better and getting to the next level, was I just associated it with, you know, hard work and playing more, practicing more. And then she's like, no, read this book and start breathing, you know, a little bit more and meditating, and, you know, circle back with me. And I'm like, okay, this is different from what I, you know.
What was the book?
Chop Wood, Carry Water.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've read that one a few times. Mind Gym was my second one. And so, yeah, just these little lessons and different perspectives. And, you know, she works with other athletes in other sports. And so I'm like, that's, you know, being a sports guy, I'm like, this is awesome. And so, yeah, we created this great friendship first, and obviously working relationship. And she's been an awesome asset for me to have.
You said, I think, maybe one of the most important words that we all should be aware of as humans: breathe. I don't think people understand how many days people go, weeks, months, without consciously breathing.
Yeah.
You breathe, but conscious breathing is, I think, with respect to athletic performance, if you're not consciously breathing, you're at a disadvantage. You're doing something to your body that is restrictive. Conscious breathing, meditation, getting your mind quiet, solitude, serenity, all those things. None of us have enough of it. Right. How do you carve out a certain amount of time during each day to give yourself the quiet time you need to get your mind in the right place?
Absolutely. I think for us too, part of our structure that we've created is routines. And so I have an AM routine, I have a PM routine, I have a pre-golf routine, pre-round routine, and then obviously, some quiet time as well built in. And so I think that's been huge for us, is just being consistent in our structure, being consistent in routines. It's funny because we've gone to this place of like, if I tee off late, right, I have my routine before, how many intentional breaths can I get in before I get to the range? When I tee off at 7 a.m, it's a little, early, and it might be a little bit tougher, but, things of that nature have been really important for me and have really helped equip me get to this place of all we're trying to do is get me as comfortable as I can get before I tee off, and we call it neutral. How neutral can I be on a scale of 1 to 10? If I'm really heightened and really excited, I might, value myself 8 or 9 out of 10. So then I have a recipe to get myself to 5, and vice versa. So it's been a lot of fun just being able to create this plan and this structure with her and go out and implement it under the gun.
One of my favorite books is Ryan Holiday, who's written a lot about the Stoics. He's got a handful of books. One of his books is called Stillness is the Key, to get the mind still. And clinically, it's been proven that when your mind gets quiet, it's inclined to drift toward the things that matter most to you, which are things beyond yourself. It's your family. It's the people you care about the most. It's the things that matter most, not material things. Mm-hmm. And that it's essential that we try to find those places. And the only way, I think, for people like yourself to get into a flow state is to experience a quiet mind. It's not a lazy mind.
No.
There's a very big difference. When you won Valspar, did you feel like you were in a flow state?
I don't think I was in flow state then during that time, but I was very quiet. So I don't think I was necessarily in like kind of that flow, like making 7 birdies in 8 holes kind of flow. But I was very quiet. I was very accepting. I was very consistent in my conversations with my caddy during that back 9. And so that was a very fun time.
Another book that I like is Raymond Pryor wrote Golf Beneath the Surface. And it's talking about, and he gives you a really good understanding of how the brain operates and the difference between nervousness and anxiety. And nervousness is something that happens literally in the moment. Anxiety is fretting about what might happen.
Right.
And the truth is, really nothing bad's going to happen. It's not. Yeah. It's not. Do you think you do a good job now of staying present, shot to shot?
I do a way better job of that
you
now.
Do.
I don't think I necessarily
What did you
have
used to do? Do you used to think like holes ahead, or would your mind drift to like?
Naturally, I'm a very forward thinker, I think, because I was, I think every athlete to an extent a little bit of a goal setter and a forward thinker.
Sure.
And 6 months I want to be here, and then next year I want to be there, kind of. But sometimes it, might be hard to get to those goals if you don't take care of today and right now. And that's kind of been the message. But I used to really forward think while playing, and I used to, if I make birdie here, I got a par 5 there and play 16 through 18 even par, and I'm on hole number 4. So it's like, what are we doing? But it's it's been a little bit it's constantly learning, it's constantly trying to improve, it's constantly trying to create a recipe week in and week out to have, and success looks different for everybody. Right. And so I think, ultimately we all want to win, but like sometimes it's a very successful week for me is having a very quiet week and being, as present as I can be each and every shot, and remaining neutral 72 out of 72 holes. And like, that's a win for me that week sometimes. So it's just different.
It's okay to think about what's ahead, marriage, family. Do you see yourself doing this in 10 years?
Absolutely.
You do?
Yeah.
You love this, and this is going to be like you're playing into your 40s.
Yeah. If I'm playing at 40 on the PGA Tour, I would. Yeah,
which is an amazing thing. Anybody
right.
who is an exempt player for 20 years you're all freaks to begin with. You do things that I don't think people have a great enough appreciation of. It's kind of like going to a baseball game and understanding, like hitting some wicked slider and pulling it down. Like, you guys are aliens to do what you do, but to be an exempt player for 20 years and is an amazing accomplishment. Motivation. Is motivation easy for you?
It is, and I don't think I necessarily need it. Like, I've wanted to do this since, we talked about 14, 15 years old.
You look
and so
like it at 14.
I think as I'm getting older though, I'm enjoying it more, but I'm also going to squeeze every bit out of it I can. Cause my 15-year-old self would have been very thankful to be on the PGA Tour at 40 and 45 and 30 or whatever. So I'm trying to squeeze every bit out of it. I'm trying to enjoy it, but also at the same time, I don't need any motivation to do it.
Yeah.
This is what I love doing.
Before we wrap this up with 5 quick questions, being an athlete, what does being an athlete mean?
Yeah, obviously, for me, coming from a sports background, I was a natural athlete. You rolled a ball out on the court, I was going to figure it out, go to the baseball field with my dad and his high school and college athletes. I was taking ground balls with his teams at 10 years old.
You had innate ability.
Yeah, I've had the innate ability to be an athlete.
Yeah.
For me now and being on the PGA Tour, being an athlete on the PGA Tour is slightly different than maybe my 10, 12, 15-year-old self envisioned. There's a lot more that goes into it than just, teeing up on Thursday with a bunch of the best players in the world. So I think it's been a process of learning what an athlete is on the PGA Tour and how to manage everything, but being able to separate those things and then actually just go be an athlete Thursday through Sunday. It's been kind of cool.
Absolutely. I want to ask you about one other word before we get to these questions. One of the words in Sarah Taylor's literature is there's a handful of words that you focus on. Acceptance. That's a big word, man. I mean, acceptance in life it's not easy at times. And I'm not talking about accepting the fact you made a soft bogey. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about in the grand scheme of things, acceptance and being good at acceptance. Has that been arduous? Has it come fairly easy? Is it a continuing process?
Definitely a continuing process, and I don't think it has been easy because I've been my hardest critic for the longest time. And so, you have this standard for yourself and what you want to do and how you want to, go about your business. And so it did take me a while to accept, not only outcomes, but it took me a while to accept, feelings and things that happen in life and family. And so it's been, it's been cool to get to a place where I can actually accept things. But it definitely takes some time, and that's life too. Life's a ever-flowing process, and things happen sometimes. And it's accepting's hard, but I've gotten better at it for sure.
It's actually it is hard, but when you genuinely do, it's also a really comforting thing to just go, hey man, it's what it is.
No doubt.
And there's very little you and I and everybody else can control.
That's what I was going to
self-will
say.
is a dangerous thing, and you control what you can.
Yep.
Except the fact that you can't control most things.
It's so hard.
It's
you want to
hard.
control everything sometimes, especially me, but yeah.
No question.
Right.
And that is, for me, on this journey, that has been, one of the, first of all, enlightening and also interesting, comforting things is, hey, I do what I can. I've got grown children now, and I look at them and they're getting out of college, and my wife looks at me like, can you believe she did that? Yeah, actually, I kind of
Yeah.
can. I kind of can. And the fact is, I can't change it.
Right.
And nor can you. All right, let's get to these questions. All right, number one, the place you would survive getting stuck at for 1 week. Like if I said you're going to get stuck somewhere for a week and you'd go, this won't suck. Like, is there a place?
Like golf?
No.
specific,
Just
or
like,
anywhere.
Anywhere.
Oh man, I had an unbelievable time in Maui this year. That's the first place that comes to mind. I could definitely.
Yeah,
be,
that's not a bad place.
I
to get
mean,
stuck
that was my
for a
first
week.
time on the islands there in Hawaii, and
I've never been.
It is unreal.
Yeah.
Surf, golf, walk, trails, hotel, whatever. I'm like, yeah, if I'm gonna get stuck anywhere, it's
Mind-blowing.
gonna be. Yeah, it's amazing. Food's great.
Yeah.
People are awesome. It was,
Maui.
Yeah, Maui.
Good answer.
Thank you.
All right, the last time you paid for a round of golf, and I know you didn't when you did your little recon to Pinehurst number 2.
Did
you
not,
didn't go
did
to
not
the
pay
hip
for that.
No, you did not.
I did not. Gosh, I paid somewhere recently.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I did.
Really?
Yeah, where was that? Do you remember where that was? Where was that?
As he appeals
So
to
the first
Sean
one that
is-
comes to
is-
mind is Rangers Golf Club in Arlington when I was on Corn Ferry. I went to go try to scout that place too because
Yeah.
we were going there in a few months. Showed them my little Corn Ferry card and all that, and they're like, "Yeah, that's cool. With a card, it's gonna be like 105." I'm like, "Okay."
The
Sounds
little
good.
Corn Ferry
Yeah,
card,
right.
but you got a discount to 105.
I think I did. I think they gave me. Well, I also didn't realize, this may be a little bit naive of me. I didn't realize we were PGA like Class A members either, so I got the PGA
Yes.
discount. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So is that your final answer? That it was?
No,
it was-
actually, I just remembered. It was Jordan Thomas, my buddy.
Yeah.
His bachelor party in February. We were in Scottsdale, and Wigwam golf course got charged there.
Oh, you
That was-
did?
Yeah, I did. That was the first time. In
You
a long
didn't
time.
play the. Do you know who
Or
I
is that
am?
the one right behind Wigwam? Is that what's right behind?
Again, he's appealing
Yeah,
off camera
yeah.
to Sean, who
Right.
is his lifeline
Yeah,
here.
sorry.
That's no,
Yeah,
it's quite all right.
I paid for golf in February. That was the first time since Rangers Golf Club
Okay.
about 4 years ago.
What do you remember? What the ticket on that was at Wigwam? Was it more north of $200?
No, they gave me Class A too. I think.
Oh,
it
so
was
you let them know who
180.
you were to some degree, or did
Well,
somebody else let them know
I
that
gave
you're?
him. I just.
Oh, you
PJ
flashed your card.
Yeah, my card hasn't worked. I need a better card.
All right. What is the most precious or irreplaceable item that you own?
Precious or irreplaceable item? Wow.
Could be anything. Maybe it's that card that's getting you
God,
discounts.
that's
at
a
various-
great. That's a great question. I mean, sentimental, but also of great value in my life. My parents gifted me a pretty cool journal Bible for my 18th
Well, that's
birthday.
pretty.
So
That's very
so, yeah,
precious.
still have that one, obviously, and yeah, it's definitely something that I'm not getting rid of.
That's a very good
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah.
All right. The celebrity crush you had as a 15-year-old.
Oh God,
So half a life ago for you.
that feels like Megan Fox Transformers. That was kind
Oh,
of my first like.
Had to be.
Who is that girl running on the beach? kind of thing. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go Megan Fox
Yeah.
in the Transformers movies.
Yeah.
it was kind of my first.
There's nobody your age who's going, he's not
They're
wrong.
not saying no to that,
No,
right?
they are not.
Yeah.
All right. The player you would love to walk in the most, meaning this is a term that John Cook loves, beating somebody in a match play situation and walking them in from like the 16th
Oh,
green.
so good.
Hey, who would you love to walk in the most?
I mean, the easy answer is Tiger. Being able to play a match play event against him would be a lot of fun. And
But
beating
let's
your
get
butt-
personal.
Yeah,
here. Somebody
personal.
that you
Yeah.
would love to just
Oh my gosh.
make them take the walk of shame from 16 green back to the clubhouse.
So I was stroke play medalist at USAM with
Yes.
Lee McCoy, Atlanta Athletic Club. And there's a kid that beat me in the first round there and knocked me out. And bothered me for a long time because I did not want to get beat in the first round, obviously. I'm not gonna name him,
No,
but
yeah,
I would
yes, you are. You are
I
gonna
would
name him.
love
It's okay.
I would love to just
This is
I'd love to have another crack at it with him at Atlanta
This is a
Athletic
trust tree
Club.
right here. We're in the safe house. You're not going to give me his name?
I believe is Andrew Cohen.
Okay.
I believe he played collegiately at Northwestern.
Okay.
I mean,
Andrew
he's-
Cohen.
He spanked me. Like
Did he
just,
really?
Yeah. I mean, he just crushed me.
Listen, it's nice to be right occasionally, like I was when I saw you when you were a teenager. I said, this guy's not only gonna play professional golf, he's gonna be successful. More importantly, the way you're going about it. It's good to have you here. Thank you for taking the time to come in here.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to seeing you down the road as you continue this journey. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks so much, Gary. It's a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Really appreciate Taylor Moore coming in and spending an hour with me talking about his life, his path. If you are of my vintage and you know that he listens to Blue Oyster Cult, how could you not now be a fan of Taylor Moore? And I'll excuse the fact that he's a Blue Jays fan. Where that came from, I have no idea. But I greatly appreciate his time. Most importantly, we all here at Five Clubs appreciate your time. We'll see you next time.